Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel where today we are going to take a look at my 2020 goals and how I did on them. But let's just jump right in. So, first and foremost was the main goal that I had, and that was to get my physical TBR down below 50 books. And I absolutely did this. I rocked it complete gold star. Right now, I am sitting at 21 books. So at the beginning of the year, I was at 89. I did bring in quite a bit of books this year. Um, and in June, I was at 58, I think. And then, like I said, right now I'm sitting at 21. Now, I haven't received any of my gifts, and I usually do get books as gifts for Christmas. But I don't expect it'll be any more than like five, 5 to 7, honestly. So, like at the end of the year, I should be somewhere between like 25 and 30 books. And that is just that's so good. I'm so happy. I did manage to get through a lot of the books that have been sitting on my shelf for a really long time. And so now when I look at my TBR shelf, I'm just so much happier. And there's so many books that I'm actually really excited to read. And it's just, this was everything. This goal was everything I wanted it to be. And I'm just really, really happy that it worked out. Gold star. So the next goal that I had was that I really wanted to prioritize reading the book that my older child picked out for me to read every month, and that meant reading it within the first 2 weeks of the month. So, for those of you that don't know, last Christmas, my spouse and I gave our older child a gift that he could pick out one book and we would read it every single month. And we did this because neither my spouse nor I really enjoy reading out loud, but we still do want to share that reading experience with our child of like reading the same things. And so this was our solution. And I wanted to read it within the first 2 weeks to be able to give my spouse enough time to read it in the second 2 weeks. And I did really, really well with this goal as well. So for the first 11 months, I 100% read it within the first 2 weeks. It was always one of the very first books that I read each month. And then December happened. And I was really busy those first 2 weeks. So I wasn't able to pick it up. It's okay. My spouse ended up picking it up and he read it. We just flip-flopped the timeline and that worked out really well. I am still in the middle of it as of filming, but I do know that I will be getting through it very quickly. And so I feel very comfortable giving myself a gold star for this particular goal as well. So, goal number 3 was that I wanted to read the entire October Daye series by Seanan McGuire prior to September 1st when the next book in the series was set to release. And this is also one that I just completely knocked out of the park. I made myself a schedule. I really tried hard to stick to that schedule, and I pretty much did that. But the really fun part for me, okay, it was really fun to read all these books, but also it was so much fun to film a review for every book because I ended up breaking up every review into okay, the non-spoiler section, the section that's just spoiling this book, and then the section that's going to spoil the rest of the series because oh my gosh, so many clues were left be in the like beginning books for reveals that don't happen until like book 12, 13, 14. It was so much fun. It's really a series that rewards you for going back and rereading it. And so I just had so much fun with this. And yeah, it was absolutely a blast. Gold star. So then goal number 4 was that I really wanted to. So in December, I set the goal that I wanted to comment on 5 different videos a week with an emphasis on booktube videos. And the idea behind this is that I really wanted to put myself out there and engage with the community. And then in June, I realized that it wasn't going so well and this was going to be a really hard goal for me to meet, so I dropped it down to 3 comments a week. And you guys, I still didn't do it. I mean completely failed this goal. Okay, no, not completely failed. I do regularly comment, maybe 1 to 2 times a week. But the problem here is that I actually don't have a ton of time to watch YouTube. Both of my kids are home all the time, and so am I. And so I just don't have a ton of time. And like, I love BookTube, but we we tend to make really long videos. And so I can't fit that many in, unfortunately, and I don't always have something to say. And so I was finding it really, really difficult to hit 3 a week. Now I am commenting more. I do try to comment when I watch videos, especially from very small booktubers. And I do, so in that way, I do think that this goal was a success, but actually hitting it, no, completely failed. It just really is not a goal that works well for me and like how I watch YouTube, unfortunately. I do still think it's important to engage with the community, with the people that are watching my videos, as well as other booktubers and people who are watching other booktuber videos. I do think that all of that is really important, but this is just not something that's realistic for me to work on, at least for this last year, as well as honestly for the next year. I'll figure out a way to try to continue to engage, but it's not going to be comments because clearly that didn't work. And then in the mid-year update, I did add in 3 more goals. And the first one was that I wanted to read every single book that appeared on my Excited For lists for fantasy and science fiction. And I also rocked this goal. It was so much fun to read the books that I was actually excited for. Who'd have thunk? And so it was great. I got to prioritize these books that I was excited to read, and then I read them. And honestly, it was hit or miss, but it was just a really good thing. And I really appreciated the fact that I chose to include this goal. I read everything that was on those lists. I've even filmed my updates to those Excited For videos where I did talk about how I ended up feeling about those books and then giving my new lists. I'll link them down below if you're interested in it. And yeah, yes, I did so well and I had so much fun. And then the next goal that I added was that I wanted to low key work on reading books in series that I was in the middle of, right? Where I had read at least one book already and there was at least one more that had already been published that I could read. And I don't know where I started because mid-year me didn't say it. So I don't know exactly where I started, but right now I'm sitting at 18 series that I'm in the middle of. And that does feel like a lot to me right now, and that's because it is. But I'm actually really comfortable with that number because I did work on it, right? Like I completed at least 2 series between June and now. I pretty sure I DNF'd at least 2 series. I worked on some of them. I, got further along. And honestly, for a low-key goal, that's about what I would expect, right? And so I really appreciated this goal, especially because it kept it in the forefront of my mind. And so I was constantly thinking, like, what should I read? What should I read next? Okay, well, maybe I should just pick up the next book in a series. That would be great. That would be helpful. And so I think that I did really well with this, like in for what it was, right? Like keeping it low key, I do think I did really, really well. And then the last goal is that I had added in was that I wanted to read 1 book a month from an author of color, with a specific emphasis on Black authors. And I reached this goal with the caveat. I don't think I said it in my mid-year update, but I said read, but it was more like I wanted to try. And I wanted to try really hard to finish the books. But if I ended up DNFing it, that was okay too. Which is great because I did DNF 2 of the books that I had picked out. So I actually specifically picked out the books for each month from June to the end of the year, July to the end of the year. It was 6 books. Um, so, and I ended up DNFing 2 of them, unfortunately. Now one of those months I did also happen to read a different book that from an author of color, and so it kind of worked out that only one month was I didn't have anything. But for me personally, that's just I actually feel very, very comfortable with that because I knew I was I was very cautiously optimistic about Queen of the Conquered and Rage of Dragons, and it just ended up being neither of those books were for me. And because I gave them such a solid chance, like Queen of the Conquered by Kaysen Callender, I read 150 pages, which is almost halfway. Rage of Dragons, I read 100 pages, and so I feel really good about how far I got into them, and they really just weren't for me. So, and that happens. So I did attempt them, which is really what I had wanted to do. And so I am still calling this a win. But that's it, you guys. Those are all my goals. So I really, I mean, I pretty much either like rocked it or failed it completely. I failed the one goal just utterly and completely. And that's okay. And like I said, even the failed goal as well as my very low key goal helped in other ways. And so I am still appreciative that I put them on my goal list. But that's all I have, you guys. So let me know down below how you are doing on your 2020 goals. And that's all I have. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.